So I want to shout out to Natz because he's upped his game this episode because he decided on a topic.
Yes.
Boom.
So cool. I'm gonna make it louder. There you go. Shout outs to Natz. All right, so let's do a little. I need to get a drum roll on this thing next time. So let's get a drum roll and reveal the topic of today. Natz, what is it?
We're gonna talk about your cults. Nah, cults, not your cult.
Your cult.
Actual cults.
Your cult, not the drink.
I was trying to be clever. I was trying to be clever and realize I
Trying to keep it light, but went
Your
all the
cult?
way to the other
your
side.
cult.
You know your cult.
Cults, yeah.
Wait, so we're talking about cults?
Look,
Cults.
the topic came up because, look, I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to get in trouble. I was applied for a job that was very culty, and I don't want to ruin my prospects getting the job, but it had a very culty vibe. Like, it was
you went to the... so when did you find out it had a culty vibe? What was the big signal?
Well, everyone was just way too happy. It was very just looked very manufactured in a sense, way too presented in that sense. I feel like the people just, I'm uneasy even talking about it right now because it's being a bit close to home. But don't say any names.
Tom Cruise there? Is Tom Cruise there?
Never know. Maybe in the storeroom, just looking. But yeah. Look, the topic came up. Look, I'm not going to talk about that job or whatever. But the talk came up because the other day I was doing my usual Google vortex where I'm just Googling random shit, and I found myself looking up cults and like the top 15 most mass suicide cults, to be specific. Actually, that's what I specifically Googled: mass suicide cults. And
Sounds like a good night, bro.
Oh no, it was during the day. It was at work actually. Anyway, Anyway, it came up with a list, and one of them that really stood out to me was something that I actually looked into when I was a bit younger as well. Well, not that young, like a few years back. And I just got into this whole like looking it up, like really obsessed over it again. And have you guys heard of Heaven's Gate? Wait, you have, because I told you about it before
familiar.
this podcast. But I don't know if you looked into it. But have you had it before I mentioned it?
No.
Don?
It sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. Okay, basically, it's by... shit, I should have done a bit of research on the guy. Like, I don't remember the names, but it started with a guy who's sort of religious as well. He started this cult that he believed UFOs were going to come to take them up to space, and the Earth was going to end, and they would be the new founders of Earth or something. There was going to be a cleanse or something, and basically
like Noah's Ark type,
some type of shit, and the UFO is going to take him. Anyway, he got a bit of a following. Him and his accomplice, I think maybe partner as well at the time. They made a bit of a following, and they got rounded up groups of followers in LA or something, or somewhere in California. Got together, and then I think at first there was no mention of like a suicide pact. It was like they were just going to get carried across. But I think like eventually they were all convinced that like the only way to get to the spaceship was to actually just commit suicide. And obviously at this point everyone was in belief by then, so they all took poison in different groups. There was about 30 of them, so groups of 10 each, I think. In a consecutive 3 days they poisoned each other, and then cops found them like, I don't know, a couple of days later, a house full of dead people. And they have a website which was really intriguing. If you actually look up Heaven's Gate on Google, it's still running, and it looks like one of those really gypped, like not gypped, cheesy GeoCities sites. Remember those Yahoo websites that we used to make back in the day?
GeoCities.
It's one of those. Like that's the era it was made. And the thing is, what's creepy, there's still members of the cult. Like I think he said to one of the cult members, "You have to stay," and like gave him a mission. And like this guy has been just updating the website. Like obviously you have to pay for the servers, right? For the now you look at the website, it's the creepiest shit. Like there's nothing like at face value it just looks stupid, but when you really look into it, like there's videos of him giving, it just looks very
Talks
unnatural. if that makes sense.
Right,
Like
okay.
the talks, the videos, what it looks like, and just knowing the story behind this website and the fact that it's still being run and it's open and there's apparently still followers of this cult.
There's
Sorry.
so there's a saying that's drinking the Kool-Aid
Okay.
is when you buy into a particular idea,
Uh-huh.
right? And I think I'm not sure if it was that Heaven's Gate cult or a different one, but it was a group of they were a cultish type group, and they convinced people to all drink this Kool-Aid, and the Kool-Aid had poison in it, and so all of these people died after they drank the Kool-Aid.
But did they know it was poison?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I think that's just straight up murder then. Because, like, this is
Yeah.
convincing people that they actually want to. Because they were convinced after drinking the poison, it means, we have to actually... They thought they could go to the spaceship with their bodies, like their vessels. But then they realized, guys, we're going to have to leave our vessels at home and just take the poison, and then our souls will go to the spaceship instead, kind of thing. It's that kind of
Right.
conditioning. It's mind conditioning, basically, in that sense. This is what this guy did to these people. And it was creepy, man. They all did the same thing. There was rules in the house. They all wore the same thing. So when they all died, they were all wearing the same Nike shoes. This particular Nike shoe, I don't know what the name of it. If you Google it,
Let's burn our shoes. Burn the Nike shoes.
Bro, you know what? I googled like which shoe it was. It's discontinued for obvious reasons. Nike was actually, they had to send out a statement to say like we did not endorse this. Obviously,
Wow.
and then like that shoe became a collector's item. So apparently they were selling for like $6,000 on eBay because like that shoe got famous from this cult for obviously the wrong reasons. And then obviously, I think a source came from the cult that maybe a survivor or before, like why did they use that shoe? Was it because of was there a sign, a significance for using that Nike shoe? And really, the only reason was it was cheaper to buy in bulk. So they didn't realize it was going to have that impact on that Nike brand. It's like, no, it was just cheaper in bulk. So they all did the same things together. And another story is right before they all committed suicide, they went to a restaurant, like a Denny's or something, like an American diner, all together as a celebration dinner because they're about to leave. They all ordered the exact same thing. And apparently people from the restaurants have given testimonies like, yeah, I remember when they all came in, they were all dressed the same, and they were like a really friendly bunch, really polite, very nice, but they all ordered the exact same meal. Like, it's just, you can see the sort of mind manipulation that occurred when this guy... another thing, sorry, this is all coming back to my head. One of them to remove any sort of temptation, the leader and a few of the other guys, they castrated themselves.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So they were like, no penises.
Took circumcision one step too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really need the regeneration.
Yeah.
Lotion, for sure. Imagine happening like I'll get into this cult. Then 3 years later, 2 years after castration, you'd be like, I want my penis back, please, please give me my penis back, please.
So yeah, these are the things.
I just went because Natz went.
Oh man, that stuff sounds crazy.
Oh, dude,
It
like
sounds-
it's insane. It's insane. And it's
It's all mind manipulation type of
It
thing.
is.
Like the leader is manipulated. Did they have to pay a fee or anything? I'm just thinking, is it a scam?
No. They went
Or-
around to different, like, preaching to different places. They just go to. It started off with him. The thing is, he came from a religious background. But the funny thing, the history of this guy, he's got a history of mental illness. So he was at a psychiatric ward, and then the nurse. Sorry, it just came back to me. The nurse that he met became his sort of accomplice. Like, I think they sort of bonded. It's like some Joker Harley Quinn type-esque
Yeah, I was thinking
type
the
thing.
same
Yeah, I just thought about that now as well. And then they took off, and then they started like going city to city preaching this Heaven's Gate, I don't know, religion or whatever that
Message.
they believed in. And then the funny thing is, like, obviously people just thought they were like the crazy, the loonies. Like, you know, you see some loony preacher in the street somewhere. But the thing is, funny enough, every city they went, they'd at least get one person to join until their following was big enough to be. I think this went on for about 2-3 years, and by the end of it, they had about it was like 27 followers by the end of it that were all living together. And it's the thing with cults you have to know is it's not like an extreme, like from the start. It's a slow conditioning process. Like, it starts off as something small, and they start introducing more and more beliefs until you get to a point where people are all committing suicide. Like, it's actually, they're not even afraid. They were all really excited to go because they actually thought they were going to transfer into space type thing. I'm pretty sure the first interaction when these people met, that wasn't even in the scope of it. Like, it was just a small idea that just kept going. And like, I don't want to take it that far, but you know, the whole topic we talked about just then about the doctor records, like in the news, with the how like the like influencing the public, even the voters and stuff. I read this I watched a YouTube video, so I don't have my phone on me now, of this guy. He's a very clever person that talks about mind manipulation and how social media is sort of like, because of that aspect. I'm not going to go into it because we already talked about it just in the news just then, but it's almost sort of identical techniques on a larger scale to what is used in abusive relationships. It's the same concept. Like, if you're in an abusive relationship, why can't the victim get away from the abuser? They're being abused, but they've been conditioned to think like that's the love of their life. They're getting physically abused is normal because, like, you know, they've been told that this is their only idea of love. And the same thing with cults. It's like, now it's in a group setting. And now, like, I didn't want to bring it up before because I didn't want to spoil our topic now, but with the whole masses of Facebook and stuff, it's sort of almost culty in a larger scale, like, because we don't know. The thing is, when the manipulation begins, it's not like you're going to be able to call it. Like, I know we're being manipulated. That defies the whole purpose. It's being conditioned eventually to sway a belief system as a whole in that sense. So it sort of just makes you think a lot now. I deactivated my Facebook.
That's why you deactivated your Facebook?
Yes.
Because Facebook's a cult. Yeah.
I don't know, Rab. I didn't say it. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to go there. But like, I'm just saying, are you sort of like,
could be.
I'm trying to explain it the best I can, but do you sort of see what I'm trying to get at here with the whole conditioning of the mind? Because it's true, like, for political agenda, I'm very sure with the whole Twitter thing and with Trump, like, I don't really follow it, but like, since when has social media been so about politics that it can sway like people in that sense? I'm very sure there's elements of that, and it might be starting at a small scale, very small scale right now, that I could just be sound like a real crazy person and people are thinking like, this guy's just over the top. But that's how it starts. When you think about it now, how does a relationship start? It starts loving until the abuser starts getting paranoid, starts being controlling, and suddenly you're the victim that can't get out because, like, this is what you believe and you've been conditioned in a 10-year relationship. Now you're locked in a dungeon or some shit. I don't know.
Look, I want to...
Well, I'm reaching my 10th year in my relationship.
Cult of Shubi.
The prep talk, and
that's cool. That's cool. I think I'm getting. You know what I'm getting at, but yeah.
So I want to bring it back to the whole thing about cults.
Yes,
right?
sorry. Yeah, cults.
It's. I know of particular techniques when it comes to brainwashing.
Yes.
So I've had experience with cults.
Are you in a cult?
A type cult. I was invited to this particular retreat by a friend of mine.
If you say Cheatcoders, I swear I'm going to lose my mind.
The Cheatcoders cult.
The Cheatcoders.
No. So I was invited to this. It was like a retreat. It was a particular religious retreat by a friend of mine.
I think I know which one.
And the first night that we were there, they so one of the particular techniques when it comes to brainwashing is if a person is tired, if they haven't had enough sleep, they're more susceptible, thank you, to suggestion.
Uh-huh.
So the first night that we were there, they made us wait until like 11, 12 before they started anything. And so we were just hanging around for hours, not doing anything. And when they first started, they were like, okay, please hand over your phones and your watches.
Oh, wow.
So they removed the element of time and the element of communication outside. And then they segregated the men and the women, like the males and the females. So there'd be less temptation. And then they started to, give their message. They started doing talks and doing all this stuff. And it was just this weird vibe. Like I've been in religious support groups, and they do seem a bit culty when everyone's like happy and yay and all this stuff. But this particular retreat that I attended, like the fact that they were like, we were playing cards because we were bored, and one of the guys took our pack of cards away. He's like, you can't have this for the weekend. I'm like, what?
How long was the retreat? Like a week? Like the whole weekend?
It was a weekend. It was a weekend.
Yeah, that's a bit.
And they were like, you'll get your phones back and you'll get your watch back, after the weekend.
Then you get it back. It's like 3 weeks later.
Yeah. But and see, the crazy thing was they would tell us, they made us listen to a tape or like a sound recording of someone talking about how they had met God and all of these things. And see, I don't mind when they're trying to talk about something religious, but when it's clear that they were trying to use brainwashing techniques where they're trying to they woke us up. Okay, there was a crazy thing on the Saturday night. They woke us up at like 4 a.m. and everyone was like wearing robes and they were holding candles. It was fucking dark. And they were holding candles and they were holding the cross. They're like, wake up, you have to pray the rosary. I'm like, what? It's 4 a.m, man. They're like, oh, this is the time you're supposed to pray. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Creepy.
And so they made us
How old were you, Don?
pray. This is when I was in high school, so I was like 17 or 18.
Yeah, that's a bit creepy, man.
I managed to keep my phone because I said to my friend, I'm not giving them my phone. No one's going to.
What year is this?
Badass.
This is like year 11, year 12.
I mean, like
2004.
2002.
This is when phones.
2001, 2002.
So that means phones were just coming in.
Yeah.
Man,
So, like,
you
you
hit a
had the
5110,
3310
bro.
and
You hit a 5110.
It's like, fuck, man, I wanted to play Snake,
He
man.
puts it in his
My
like
plans
his
for the
pants.
weekend
It's
going.
like you just happy about God. You just happy about
And
God.
what-
You get caught
Like-
with your phones like he's playing Space Invaders. Sorry, let's keep going.
Playing Snake. He was playing Snake.
You're
No,
making
but-
a ringtone.
Oh,
Sorry, keep
God.
going.
And after, like, there was this thing where after praying or whatever, they were like, you have to crawl down this hallway and then kiss the foot of the cross. I'm like, what? I was
What?
this is at 4:35 a.m. in the
Yeah.
morning.
Every day,
Everyone's
or
in-
is it
No,
this
this
one?
is just the
Saturday.
the morning of.
Yeah.
So they were trying to keep us tired, and they were like, I don't remember whether or not we were fed at particular times, but also like keeping someone hungry and like tired, and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. You become more susceptible to
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yeah.
At the end of it, so a friend of mine and I both attended. At the end of it, he was like, hey, I think I want to come to another one, like to a different one. I looked at him like, dude, don't tell me you're brainwashed. Like that's
crazy, man.
it's
That's-
it
What
was
else did they do to brainwash you? Like,
it was just those things. Like they remove the element of time.
yeah,
They make you tired.
yeah.
Thing is, I'm
Um,
trying to think. What's the agenda there? Like, obviously, you didn't go back, or did you?
I didn't go back.
But like,
People
yeah.
were nice.
Yeah.
People were nice,
Cool.
but like just the stuff that they did,
wasn't
just
weird.
little things. It wasn't fun. It was just, yeah. It just was too sus, man.
Oh, that's cults for you.
Like,
huh?
Skulls for you. Boring as fuck.
You don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't ever drink the Kool-Aid.
like figuratively and literally. Where if there's like a Kool-Aid at a camp,
Yeah.
stay away from that shit.
You thirsty? You want some Kool-Aid? No. Don't want
Especially
any.
if they starved you for 10 hours, just don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, they keep you awake. Just, dude.
What was the big sign? Like, I always wanted to know, like, is there like a big thing to be like, oh fuck, this is a cult, or was it like a gradual thing?
They were just.
That was a bit obvious though. That like seemed a bit too obvious.
The one where they like took our phones and took our watches. The ones where they woke us up in the middle of the night. Everyone's wearing robes and there's candles and like you have to pray now.
Can I ask? Let me test Raph a bit. Have you ever been in a position where you've been introduced to something, and then before you know it, you're sort of part of it? You know, especially when you're a teenager, you're more what's the word again? Susceptible to things. Like you, as a teenager, you're trying to identify with yourself. Like, where do I belong? Type thing. That's a perfect time to get someone when they're young. Because when you think about it, every sort of group, to an extent, is pretty much a cult. Like everything, when you think about it, in that sense, yeah. Like.
Yeah, like I always, when I was young, I always thought that Rangers and Scouts was a bit weird for me.
Did you go into that?
I got into it. Like, I had a couple of lessons. That's it. Not lessons, a couple of
sessions, or whatever it was.
And then I just felt weird about it.
Can I ask you? At any time during that though, did you feel at least a little bit like, yeah, I belong to this? That you sort of like really felt in it for even a little bit? Because there's been times I've been to different.
Not the Scout stuff, because I felt weird from the start.
From the start,
I automatically avoided anything about it. But there are other things, like, you know, like I've done church stuff. Yeah. Got into it. I've also done like sports stuff, like got into a basketball team and ended up, you know, wondering why I'm here, or a soccer team. You know, as a teen, you're trying to find who you are. Yeah. I've been in different groups. And yeah, you end up going in, feeling welcome, and after a while, you just feel like, I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah, that's it.
And then you just move on to the next one.
It's a system, basically. Everything, it's like a system in place to make you, not to make you, but like that's when cults can be dangerous. Because there's a lot of cults out there.
Is that like the Cheatcoders podcast?
Yeah, maybe. We're getting a follow. Our listeners, we're reeling them.
Say a couple of jokes here. And you follow us, and then now we get into this cult conversation. Talk about ASMR
and follow us.
Follow us.
Speaking of cults, follow us.
Follow us. Just sneaking around. We want to get a cult following.
Ad libs now and then, just be like, follow us. And then, by the way,
have you experienced any groups that you felt a bit weird besides the interview that you went to?
It's always religious groups. I don't want to single out, because I don't think a lot of the religious groups aren't like. There's no really. Like I said, like it's a bit extreme with the mass suicide type cults or like murder cults or things like that. I don't think they're all bad, in a sense, because some people, it's like a genuine belief, you know. It's like religion, as well. You could very much say that religion is a cult in that sense, as well. It's got a bit of a it is. Yeah. It's a bit of a stigma when you say cult, because of like you associate with like Heaven's Gate and even the Charles Manson family, that type of shit. But can
we say that hip hop's a cult? Like it's a culture.
Like I'm part of the culture. I guess so.
Like we follow a certain way of.
It's a way of life, right? They say hip hop's a culture, a way of life.
Listen to certain music.
This is how we dress. This is how we act.
Have certain beliefs.
You drink certain things.
Yeah.
Hennessy. Like.
Yeah. Like little things just add up to like it becomes like all the stereotypes become.
I guess you could say it, because then hip hop is it's very influential, right? Like there was a lot of movements made from hip hop. NWA stood up to the police.
Yeah, and then are we saying that cult is a bad thing, or is it a?
It's not. Look, the topic started because I wanted to talk about the Heaven's Gate and like when you use cults and like it can be dangerous in that sense, because like all it is like it can be bad, it can be good. I guess I don't know if it can be good. Like it depends where you are as a person.
With all groups, like people want to feel
belong.
A part. Yeah, they want to feel like they belong. They want to feel like they're a part of something, and that's how they get lumped into religious groups. They get lumped into cults, quote unquote cults, because that group will say something that vibes with them, or will will resonate with them. And then they'll be like, hey, I want to be part of this group. And when they're a part of it, they're like, why are we drinking Kool-Aid? Why are we drinking poison?
Yeah, like if Round Circle was a cult, they did a good job reeling me in.
I'm the cult leader.
Yeah, you never know. You're doing this. You still have this cult thing. It's like, oh, Round Circle's dead. For people who don't know, Round Circle's like the rap crew that we ended up making like 10 years ago.
Actually, you know what? Okay, when we started,
called, isn't it?
Cause
thanks, man.
Originally it was just my group, right? And you guys all had your own groups, and I eventually manipulated you all to join my group.
That's it, eh? I'm thinking about it right now. This guy made me buy a camera.
And now the Cheatcoders, like I'm still here, still relevant.
I was lucky. I was lucky because Natz didn't like him, and I wasn't in.
Like, I don't
like. You're unlucky now.
I don't want him out. Got him in there.
It's like the Illuminati. It's not the name.
It's a secret society.
It's Cheatcoders now.
Shit.
When I go to bed,
the name.
When I go to bed, I have like a Round Circle shirt still on. And a Round Circle necklace.
And he's sitting there going, excellent. Yes.
I make a round circle seance in my living room.
It's like because like Natz was the one who suggested you should join the podcast. So
I believe it's Don's time. I'm like, Raph, I summon you to retrieve Don.
That's literally what happened.
We're wearing like cloaks.
Natz has got the steering wheel of this thing, man. Whether we like it or not.
Man, let's make a website.
I reckon this whole thing, like we've talked about cults and we've talked about groups. I think as long as you're aware of what's happening in the group and what the group is doing to you,
what it's about. Yeah.
If it's not detrimental to you, then it'll be all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like religious, if you follow a particular religion, as long as that fits your sensibilities, fits your beliefs, then that works. But as soon as it doesn't, then you should rethink about not wanting to be in that particular group or not be in that particular cult.
Just be
but
be
what
a bit
happens?
more aware of where you're joining, because like you never know. Like Don didn't like that group that he would join, and you never know that another group might pop up, and they'd be like, "Oh man, we all got 6-packs, rah rah rah." Like, I vibe with these guys. Yes, these guys are awesome. They're fit. They don't, they have like,
I mean, to that, I mean, I know you're making a joke, but like,
but it can work to you. Everyone has a weak spot,
because a lot of people think of CrossFit as being a cult.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Or like F45 or some fitness thing. But it really just depends on, you need to be aware of how that group affects you and if it resonates with your beliefs and your sensibilities, then it should be fine.
Yeah, just make sure your eyes are open. Stay woke. Stay be creepy.
You need to just be careful who you associate with, I think. Because at the end, who starts cults, right? Or who starts even religious beliefs? Like obviously, like let's just use Christianity, just because it's I don't know, just easier. But then it bridges out to so many different, different categories? Denominations. Yeah. And I'm very sure a lot of those start from it could either start from a person, or it could start from a particular ethnicity. Like they make this version of what they interpret Christianity. And like even Catholicism, that's a branch, is it, of Christianity? Or is it its own thing? Mind my ignorance, but there's a lot. Yeah. Would you say?
Yeah, I think.
I'm just nodding.
From the Romans, the Roman Catholics, I guess. So I guess that's
from the Roman Empire. Yeah.
I presume. I'm just saying here. Like, But the thing is, like, yes. The thing is, what happens when I'm going back to the mass suicide cults, because like that's why I wanted to talk about this. Like that was a belief system that started from a psychopath, basically. So cults, groups, they're not bad, right? Like they're not forcing, like there's nothing, I'm not gonna like be like, ooh, don't join the Catholic Church, or ooh, don't join Buddhism or something, because like once again, like what you're saying, yeah, it's fine to be in your what you feel fits in your beliefs. I don't think a lot of religions that are good, or a lot of groups, they're not forcing their belief system on you or conditioning you. It goes back to conditioning. But when I'm thinking cults, like if you cross paths, if you're a vulnerable person in a vulnerable time of your life, maybe you've gone through some trauma, you're associated with the wrong groups, and then you cross paths with someone that's like a psychopath, like the Heaven's Gate guy or Charles Manson, and he can easily manipulate you to join. I think that's where the issue is. Like, how do you get out of that? Like, yeah, you can be like, yeah, but this is all I have, so it's a scary
at
thing.
The weakest point where they get you, right? It's like
scary,
Fight Club.
It's a scary. Yeah, it's like Fight Club, bro.
Fight Club, yeah.
Fight Club. No joke. That's
Hey.
Don't talk
we
about
don't talk
it,
about Fight
Don't talk about it.
Oh, I
We
didn't
don't
say
talk about
Fight Club. I said nightclub. We talk about.
We'll talk about nightclub.
Rule number
bro.
1: never
talk
talk about
about-
Fight Club.
And nightclub.
But it's cult, so we're Cheatcoders. We break the rules. No, I don't know what I'm talking about. I really don't know what I'm talking about, bro.
Anyway,
All good.
I think that was
But
that's all I wanted
think
to talk.
that's-
And you guys want to add anything else to this cult thing? Like anything you want
No,
to
man.
get off your chest? I got that off my chest. I just want to talk about that
Man,
shit.
like, I really hope that if there's anyone out there who has experienced like doing a camp or whatever that's a bit
Hit us up.
culty or even actually
no.
gone into it
Has
too far.
Has anyone been in a cult? Hit us up. And if you're safe, we can blur your voice. We have the technology to blur your voice.
Technology,
You just turn the pitch down.
auto-tune. It's gonna
Auto-tune.
sound very like T-Pain.
The whole time it's T-Pain. But we want you on the show. We want you on the show. We want to know all about it.
We want your story. If you have been in a cult and you escaped, we want your story.
Yeah, escape the cult.
And if you've experienced anything culty, whether it be
cult.
something small or even, but if you escape, we want you.
But we're not liable if they catch you.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
we'll give you some free Kool-Aid.
Way to make them feel safe, guys. Way to make them feel safe. We want to talk to you, but if you get caught, you're on your own.
We got a big audience, So shout outs to the 100 viewers that we have per episode. Shout outs to you guys, bro. I appreciate it.
Hey, and if you get the
bro.
time, check out that Heaven's Gate cult, but don't get sucked into the manipulation, though. Don't get
I just
sucked in.
saw the GeoCities website.
It's
they
freaky,
had.
bro.
Yeah,
And
it's so generic.
And you can
it's
you can
almost
order
It's good.
you can order the DVD. I don't know if it still works. Like it's like $20.
I'm surprised they have DVDs. Imagine it was like a VHS.
Sorry, it wasn't a
Yeah.
DVD.
They're a bit updated.
Whatever was there at the time. I can't remember. I don't know.
It
what
was a
was.
laser disc.
Laser disc.
Something.
that was a popping like for a bit.
VHS.